So now it is the next day. I have to shake this shroud of negativity off me, people. I am desperately trying so hard not to crash here. You don't know. Okay? I mean, it's enough. It's enough that, you know, I kind of got myself into a state of mind where I was somewhat comfortable with it, and I thought that I could manage it in increments. Okay? We're clearing off the sewing table, and we're going to make some, this is on the list for the sewing table. It is May 3rd, 2022. Okay? Obviously bibs. I need bibs. I want to cut the cotton diapers and serge them and try and start using cloth with amari during the day. Okay? Then, because I'm using cloth diapers, I have to make a few rubber pants because you can't buy them anymore. So I'm going to use tenting material that, you know, I salvage and cut and wash and fold up and think I'm going to use it one day. Well, I think that would be good in terms of just a, you know, a simple rubber pant, right? Because I want him to be more free, more comfortable, right? I want to get him out of these Pampers at least half of the day. So that's bibs, diapers, rubber pants. I would like to make a few clothes for Amari and Andre. Simple stuff. Fleece. Fleece is easy to work with, right? Because the house gets cold, and especially for Amari, right? Nice, just comfortable stuff, right? Andre's pants, because he's growing. He's going to be tall like his dad. I wouldn't be surprised if Andre doesn't end up being 6'2". Just like his dad. He's just sprouting, eh? So, if I could just have a little space, right, to whip up simple fleece pants every 3 months, just to keep up with his growth spurt, that would be great. And then I want to get into my sexy underpieces with my sequins and stuff. I like sewing with sequins trim, people. Oh, I miss those days so much. I said, Tisha, I'll make a couple, 2-3 sets, and then you'll like it, and you'll want to make for yourself. So I'm hoping I can encourage that in her, right? Because I have everything, people. And I'm not going to sew it all. And then, of course, there's Marcane's girlfriend who likes to sew. So at some point, she'll inherit some of this stuff as we go about our daily business, right? But for myself, I want to get into some cute little underpiece sets with sequins, appliques, that kind of stuff. And then, you know, I don't know if I have any time to make any outfits, but cute little outfits would be nice. 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And do-rags. I want to make do-rags. For sure. So those are the things that I want to start with. Remains to be seen when I can do it. But my sewing table, I moved out a lot of the paperwork. You know, it's kind of piled up around here right now because I'm going through it, right? And reorganizing it and figuring out what I should tackle first in terms of... Speaking of that, HSBC Bank now has got me under review, which is okay. I would expect that. You know, this is what I mean. Like I have my mind, you know, wrapped around a plan, right, to ease myself out of this house, okay, versus having my shit show up in a fucking bin, and with all the jars clanging as they're going into the bin, waking up the neighborhood. Because nothing's changed when it comes to that, people. Like, whether it's a pit bull or a corporation, I'm standing my ground. Because if you're going to force me out of a house but don't provide me an option that's affordable, that's conducive to my current living situation, to which actually needs to be improved for Amari in terms of, you know, I need a walk-in bathtub, people. I don't know if Amari will ever be able to take a shower, because it's like turn on the vacuum and he just starts crying. There's that phobia that doesn't leave him. And God forbid if you're going to throw him in a shower and as a man or as a teenager screaming and hollering. No, it might come down to a walk-in freaking bathtub yet. And if not, then yeah, at least a walk-in shower. I'm never going to have that here, people. So I don't know what my landlady is thinking. I don't know why she thinks I want to live here forever. The only reason I would want to live here forever is because of what I did in the yard. That would be the only reason, because I love the yard. I'm looking forward, blind as a bat, to finish up the yard this year. I'm serious. I'm queuing everybody up for it in terms of, okay, this is what we're going to do here. This is what we're going to do here. If, help me and it'll get done faster. And all right. And it's going to be, I'm buying tools, for crying out loud. Not that I need tools, because I got tons of tools. And if, if I'm having to leave, am I taking the tools with me? If my son was moving out, I told him he could, when he was talking about moving out, I said, well, if you're moving, take some tools, because I'm getting the pressure here to move. And I would never repeat this process on my own, right? I might keep some tools, but I sure in hell wouldn't keep all the tools that I've accumulated since I've lived in this place. And I moved in with freaking tools, okay? So being that I have to organize my life and figure out what's important and what's not important, and, and finish the job in the yard and raise my grandkids and try and be a positive, productive role model, even though you've got this shroud of negativity on you all the time, right? Like, it's fucking hard to work under those conditions. I'm thinking, well, because Andre struggles with the reading and the writing part of life, right? But he's smart as a whip when he wants to be. And he likes tools. We've seen that when we're out in the yard. So I really wanted to nurture it this year in terms of, okay, well, we're going to really make an effort to sort out the tools. But not only are we going to sort out the tools, but we're going to learn what their names are. We're going to write them down, and we're going to read them, and we're going to practice it, and we're going to try and use our tools, as well as we're going to shine them up. If some of them are rusted, we're going to sand them down and oil them, because tools can last for 100 years, okay? And some of these older tools are better than what the new tools are coming out in terms of product, right? So you're teaching a lot of value in just, like a pair of pliers or something. A good pair of pliers. Any man, a real man, would appreciate a good pair of pliers, okay? That's what Andre needs to get in touch with. That's a good pair of pliers, Andre. Maybe that one over there, not so much. But this one, that's primo shit. You don't want to lose that one. That's the exercises that I wanted to go through while we were working in the yard with a good attitude, people. You see, last year, only because of what the government was doing, I would never have gone to the extreme that I did with the food prep if our governments weren't doing what they're doing globally. I mean, it's bad enough when it's in your own province, but we're talking globally. So when I get to thinking about that kind of stuff, and I'm trying to understand why my landlords, as I don't know who, right? But why they're being so, I don't want to say vicious, but I don't know, just, mean is the simple word, right? Outside of its business, right? And it's right. But at the end of the day, like, I'm like, okay. Because my landlady said, oh, my son was so mad that day when, he was going off on me in the yard. And he looked like he was mad. But the thing is, people, he really had no reason to be mad. I felt like a lot of his anger was displaced anger, and he just took it out on me. If I had to go on, I would say first impression in terms of, why did you do that? Like, it was completely uncalled for, right? It didn't produce any results, and, it disrupted the flow of It disrupted the flow of, look, it's simple. If my landlady is, I don't want to say desperate for money because she's scared and she's 82 years old and she thinks that's the only way she can secure somebody looking after her because she can afford to pay for it without being pushed into a care home, okay? You know, because that's the excuse that she's giving me now, and I understand it. But then I also know my landlady, and she's a little whippersnapper. And honestly, I don't think she's going to retire because she enjoys what she does, and she's good at it, and she's been doing it for a long time. It's just she's got a few bad habits in there, which kind of reminds me of my own grandmother, right? Because, you know, when they get to a certain age, they're kind of stuck in their ways, but it isn't necessarily always their fault because they came in under a different time. Like, I can understand this. But I'm like, okay, we know it's all about money, 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 money. And then, of course, I'm listening on the internet. You know, I'm listening to the housing market in the United States and, you know, hyperinflation and just inflation and you know, the supply chain collapse and farmers can't plant crops and, you know, the animals don't have feed and they're killing off all the chickens and, you know, the stock market is crashing and I'm like, okay, well, just jump into your landlord's shoes because they're probably, I don't want to say more freaked out about it than I am, but on a financial level, I would think that they would be. You see, I don't have that kind of money to, you know how they say the bigger you are, the harder you fall, right? They're much bigger than me, so if they fall, people, it will be harder on them than it would be on me, for whatever reason, okay? So, you know, that would fuel displaced anger. That would make them feel insecure and secretly frightened. Because they wouldn't openly talk about it. They're too proud. Seriously, they're too proud. They wouldn't openly talk about it. But they need to, because if they could openly talk about it, then they could stand up against the government. But you see, they never really ever do stand up against the government, which makes me think that they're involved with it. That's the conflict. And then when I get treated the way I get treated, because obviously my landlady is not stupid, she knows I have no place to go. Never mind one that is affordable, okay? Because before they'll rent to me after I leave this house, somebody else, they're gonna go with the immigrants with the guaranteed rent payment through those subsidies, or they'll go through the student part of it because they stack and pack these individuals into these houses to meet whatever the expectations are, and because they're students, they don't complain, they just go about their business and try and build a life for themselves. Whereas I am, you know, low income, fixed income, disabilities, right? You know, I don't have a large support system anymore, right? Because my family's half dead, right? So it's not like we're coming in like them next door with 5 kids. I'm coming in with basically one, my son, who we are discussing this, and we've been discussing this, and like even before what my landlady did, right? It's just my landlady speeding it up. But she can't be that stupid to, you know, like in terms of, well, if I just tell her to leave, everything will be fine. Like, I know she's not that stupid. And I don't think she's that heartless or cruel, okay? Right? And I know she's under pressure to stay with the game when it comes to doing business when you're a landlord to a rental property that was basically nothing more than a financial investment. But she could have sold this house years ago, people. This wouldn't be the first time they put a sign outside the front door. Well, in the yard, right? Okay. They've done it a couple times already. But we're coming to a head within the economy where some people are already reporting on the internet that there's blood in the water and the sharks are coming out. Okay? So whatever I'm going through, it's systemic throughout the whole community, and this is how people are starting to react to each other because of, well, fear. Fear and it's just uncertainty and it's, unless of course they're involved with it. If they're involved with it, then they're going to provoke it. But if they're not involved with it, no matter how hard you put on a straight face, if you're fearful inside, it will come out in another way, and displaced anger is one. So, I'm not trying to analyze the pit bull out in the yard, but at the end of the day, if, I was in a position like him in terms of, I guess you could say, a business perspective, but only on the larger scale because they do own more than one house and they are dealing with good and bad people as landlords. They probably have other investment portfolios, right? It's not just houses. There's other things involved in there, right? And if the stock market is going down and, they think that they got to get everything they can right now before the housing crashes. See, BC's not crashing right now. It's booming because of that underground economy, people. But sooner or later, if everything else around Canada crashes from that, wheeling and dealing of Bitcoin and the stock market and gold bullion blocks of, 50-pound, silver, and right? Like, they're involved with that kind of, they own land in India. What if the economy changes in India and it crashes and the land becomes zero worth? And the Canadian money dollar tanks and it becomes zero worth. They lose their land in India? Are they afraid that if they don't sell now, in 2022, by 2023, 2024, the economy is going to be so bad that they couldn't give it away? Right? I'm trying to understand, after all these years, where do they, I've been here 12 years, people. And then just to suddenly, like a chicken, right? And then just throw the chicken with the head cut off and let it run around until it just stops running. Like, that's me. I'm the chicken, right? That's the position that they've kind of put me in, and I just don't think that my landlady is that stupid and that mean to allow that to happen, or to want that to happen. Not maybe allow it to happen because maybe she's helpless to prevent it from happening, but I don't think that's something that she wishes upon me, right? So I don't even know where I'm going with this. My brain is scattered. When they do stuff like this to me, telling me that they're not even going to fix underneath the kitchen sink. Okay. That's hurtful, people. And it makes me feel insecure and scared. Because if they're going to go as far as to do that, to punish me, because to me it feels like a form of punishment, right? I mean, and they're telling me to get out, not just once, not just twice, but on and on and on, right? And now they're selling the house and blah, and I'm like, Judy, it's going to come to whatever it comes to, people. Amari is going to outgrow this house. We already know that. I've outgrown it years ago, okay? And now I'm here just wanting to finish up with the job, even though I know they're just going to tear everything apart and dig it all up and throw it into the freaking land pit, okay? And then build something that, one, I probably wouldn't want to move into. And even if I could, right, I couldn't afford it. But you see, why would I want to move into a townhouse, a row one at that? Because that's probably what they would build here, right? Where there is no land, and any trees that are around me will be nothing more than ornamental. They will not produce any kind of food in any kind of capacity. Okay? There won't be no walnut trees. There won't be no... And like what happens to Matilda? Where does she go? Right? They've already taken out the oak trees, right? And the horse chestnut, not that the animals like to eat horse chestnut, because they don't, but they will nibble on it if they have to, right? And the plum trees, the grapevines, the pear trees, the pine trees, the spruce trees, because you can make pine needle tea, spruce needle tea, which is high in vitamin C, right? Pine is more high vitamin C than spruce, but spruce has vitamin C as well. Because they won't do anything other than put in these immature ornamental trees that produce nothing. And then, you know, the cost of food, these people that move into these situations will be solely dependent on the grocery store. Unless, of course, they want to go out to the farms, right? And, like, with the way the economy is going, people, I don't know. Like, I don't know how the money makers and shakers that flip the cash like they do with the housing really expect people to sustain themselves in an economy that isn't even functional, right? $12.99 for 5 avocado is pretty pathetic, okay? And that's just one item out of a whole store, all right? But it doesn't solve my problem. It created the problem. The property developers and the wheelers and dealers that are flipping houses out here like it's fucking pancakes, they're the ones that are creating the problem, but then we know it leads into illegal organ harvesting, so that's what keeps the economy alive, right? The only thing is the people that facilitate it don't want to take any responsibility because they're profiteering off it too much, right? Does that mean that my landlady is doing it? No, not necessarily. Does it mean that she... But I'm pretty sure she understands what's going on, and she's just staying quiet on it. It's like she says, what can I do about it? Well, you can talk. Definitely, because I don't know how they can expect everybody else to lose everything, give everything up, give up their lives, to just fall apart at the seams, and then them not have that happen to them. Because if it doesn't happen to them, people, then it means they facilitated it. If it hasn't happened to them yet, because they have that little bit of insulation of wealth, but they see their wealth slowly chipping and falling away because of what our governments are doing globally, right? As a collective, like I said, they have assets in India. We don't know what's going on in India in terms of, are they going to lose their assets or are they going to be able to keep their assets? And if they do lose their assets, how would that happen? And being that, you know, they're involved, I'd want to know, right? Then maybe they know something that we don't know in terms of how it's going to trickle over to Canada over the next couple of years. And this could be why, because I'm trying to understand the behavior outside of greed, this could be maybe one reason why my landlords are so hypersensitive in terms of get out, gotta sell the house, gotta make more money, get out, you know, right? And then get kind of vicious about it at the same time, you know, to some degree, or whatever, right? Just to stand their ground, knowing that they can sell this place and probably get $2 million. And then the problem becomes, like me, the problem becomes somebody else's problem, right? But it doesn't change my situation. It doesn't give me an escape out. If anything, it's going to put me in more danger, because I'm going to now have to more than likely fight a corporation that can afford 10 lawyers. Whether they're Punjabi or not, it doesn't matter. They can afford 10 lawyers, where I can't afford one. And they know it. And that's why they do it. Right? But if I can expect my pit bull landlord, for short, AKA, what was your name? Good boy. Yeah, you're a good boy. You just keep an eye on that yard. Right? You know, if I can, I don't know, you want to throw my shit out into a fucking bin, wake up the neighborhood with all that food, go ahead, do it. I dare you. I can say the same thing to a corporation, because I'm stuck. I'm literally stuck right now. And I was trying to unstick myself, and this is the point of this video, and I was trying to have a good attitude about it, people. And I actually got it kind of figured out, and I just told myself, just give yourself a little time, and you'll get through it. And then all of a sudden, you know, this huge monkey wrench is in there, and my brain's all scattered. I can feel it scattered. I'm not as focused as I was 4 days ago, because of fear. That's all it is. You know, it's a very powerful weapon. It really, really is. So I just have to come to the conclusion that, okay, you're a motherfucker corporation that wants to throw my shit out in a bin. Well, you go ahead and you do that. Because if that's what it comes to, people, if that what it comes to when I leave this house, then so be it, and I can't be afraid of it. Because it's not like I'm not trying. Okay? I'm like them. Well, I'm not like them, though. You see, they have more to lose than what I have. Right? And, but this is all I have. So, you know, I was prepared to let some of it go, and I was trying to do it in such a way that it made sense. Right? Like this craft material. You know, if I can muster up the energy to set up those tables out in the front once a week, let the boys do what the boys can do with whatever equipment that I put out in front, right? You know, set up just somehow a small little craft area where people walking by with their kids, you know, can come and look and, right, and sit down and make a little craft. I heard something boom. Probably my son going to work. Yeah, I hear his vehicle. And that will get me going on it in terms of using it. Right? In a good way. In a good way, people. And when I leave, what's left is what's left. Right? But I can start using it now because, you know, I have a reason to. Andre's older. He can help carry things. He can help do things, right? You know, it's good for him and his friend to take leadership skills and that kind of stuff, right? And I got to stay focused on that. I can't let my brain get scattered because of fear. And if I'm willing to stand up to the pit bull in the yard, I should be willing to stand up to the corporation in the yard. Mm-hmm. Because the corporation isn't coming with any solutions. Okay, for as godly as they think that they are, and that they're improving in the neighborhood, even though they're killing off all the wildlife, they're removing all the edible trees, right? They're condensing people to the point where they're going to be nothing more than dependent on grocery stores. That's it, and that's all, right? And that's assuming that those people will be able to even to afford to eat after they pay their mortgages or their rent on this new property. Unless, of course, there's a bigger plan with about 100,000 people sitting up in some freaking country somewhere just waiting to get on that airplane so that they can come in and move into those complexes, okay? Because it sure in the hell isn't the people that live in this province on majority moving into this new shit, okay? Because the income isn't there. The income is flipping the houses around town. That's the income. And illegal organ harvesting, fentanyl sales, human trafficking. There is your income. And I just have to close it off. Just, if it's going to come to that, it's going to come to that. So I can focus, because my brain is scattered because of fear right now. Because I don't know what's going to happen. Although I kind of know, I can see it coming to that. I could, right? I don't want to. I'm trying to do things to prevent that from happening. But after living in a house for 12 years, right, accumulating tools just so that you can work in the yard or do repairs wherever they need to be done, doesn't mean you simply take them and throw them out on the fucking roadside there and say, go ahead, help yourself. I'm not allowed to own it no more because I'm not allowed to live in this house no more. And being that these people who own these houses have made it where I can't go anywhere else, then what the hell do I need it for? Because I'm not going to go anywhere after I leave this house. And certainly not any place where I would need tools. So I'm going to take a financial loss on that, because do you know how expensive tools are? Very expensive. So I'll be organizing tools and selling off a few nails. Not a lot of nails, people. Not everything, because wherever I go, I'd like to think I can take some of it with me. I just can't go as fast as these people want me to get out. That's the problem. And obviously it would be much more easier if that, when I knew I was leaving, that there was actual affordable housing, reasonable affordable housing, then it wouldn't be so frightening. And I just can't be the only, well, I know I'm not the only person facing this shit. There's people all over Surrey being forced out of their houses because of this shit. And that's what makes it so volatile, because the ones that are fueling it over are only doing it for the money and to create, in my opinion, people, death, early death from stress. Or they're being murdered. Or they're coming across negligence within the healthcare system and those kind of places. Anyway, I'm just trying to convince myself to put my brain back together again and stay focused, right? There's only so much I can do in a day, and I have a lot of responsibilities. But then I also have a lot of goals I'd like to accomplish by the end of the year to the best of my ability. Right? And I have to stay focused on it, people. That's the thing. Huh? But I just don't know what's coming next, though. That's in terms of, I don't know. I can't be afraid. You see, I asked myself in my head quietly, well, what are you afraid of? And I'm like, right? I'm like, well, I don't know. Just, I need a walk-in shower for Amari, or preferably a walk-in bathtub. Right? I need a bigger kitchen. I need a bigger kitchen, a more functioning kitchen to be able to meet up with his nutritional needs. Because there has to be a system in place for it, people. The bigger he gets, the bigger the meals. You need a bigger kitchen. He needs his own big bed by himself with no rails above it. Right now, I got a bunk bed in there. I want to put him just, like I said, box spring on the floor and a mattress. And then, I don't know. I don't know. Depends what he learns, right? Otherwise, he'll fall off. All right? Just, my son said when we move, he'll move. Like, he's talking to his girlfriend, because it's like, it's like, girlfriend didn't inherit mom and 2 orphans, but at the same time, I told him, when I leave, I need him. And he said, well, Mom, I thought you said a couple, 1 to 2 years you can manage without me being around, in terms of when he was thinking of moving out, right? And I said, yeah, go now, go. It's good time, I'm still functional. If need be, we'll rent out, right? And I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And, there's going to come a day, though, when I'm going to have to move from this house. And, and I'm realistically, Mary's bigger, blah, blah, blah. I can't live by myself. Anyway, I spoke to him. I said, look, you know what's going on, right? Blah, 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 blah. He goes, yeah. And he goes, and he says, well, what are you looking at? And I'm like, well, I can't live in an apartment. That's impossible, people. Amari's needs are too severe. Okay. And I can't afford a house by myself. I mean, as for my son and myself having a house, to which that's the direction we're looking at, the property developers and the landlords and the homeowners have made it impossible for us to have it, because it's unaffordable. And they're choosing the immigrants over the Canadian people, like such as myself, because it's the immigrants that have the guaranteed income through those subsidies, or it's the students through their parents. And from a business perspective, it only makes sense to go with the safer bet, right? And that's where the fear comes in, because my landlady is pushing me into that situation sooner than later. Whereas later, I might be better prepared for it. Right? If it took me 12 years to settle into this house, and I'm settled in, okay, it's going to take me a little while to settle myself out. It's a process. Okay? And I had it figured out to some degree. I was looking, I was go outside and it's all fuzzy and cloudy, and I'm like, just, oh my God. I was in my sewing room, I think, the other day. Well, I was in my sewing room. And, because of my eyes, right? I don't have that peripheral vision, so I have to be careful I don't walk into things and poke my eye. Okay? And I can only wear these sometimes, so oftentimes I run around, like in the yard, I can't wear these, right? Unless, of course, I really got to look at something. But outside of that, I run around with no glasses. And, of course, everything's cloudy and gray, right? And blurry. And so, you know, we're dealing with sticks and all that crap out there. So I have to be careful that I don't, right? Or trip over something or whatever, right? Anyway, I was in my sewing room. I was mucking around, looking at my scissors because I want to sew, right? I bought myself these long ass scissors for leather, but you know, I have to familiarize myself again what's in my sewing room. So I'm pulling out, looking, pushing. I'm pulling out, looking, and I'm like, then I found a box of scissors for crimping, right? You know, fabrics that fray. And I'm like, oh, I remember those good old days. So I'm like on the floor, you know, looking and doing this, doing it. And I don't know, people, I hurt myself. And here's the strangest thing. It hurt. Oh my Lord, did it ever hurt. And I'm like, you know, that kind of hurt. And I'm like, the pain is so intense, right? And I'm like, just forget about it. Just forget about it. Just forget about it. And I convinced myself to forget about it. The pain went away and I went right back. Well, you know, it subsided, right? And I went right back to doing what I was doing, whatever the hell it was that I was doing. And I ignored the throbbing or whatever it was. I don't know. You see, that's the thing. Anyway. Later on that evening, now I'm not feeling no pain. I have a pretty high tolerance of pain because I work so hard, right? All these years. So anyway, towards the evening, my eyes started to throb, right? And I thought, I don't know, right? Maybe I got something inside it, right? Anyway, it just got worse and worse and worse, and it was like, the whole, all in here, it was like, it was just way too weird. And then I'm like, why, what's going on with my eye? What, you know, what the hell? Is there something, right? Right? But it felt like, I don't know, never, it really hurt. It just really hurt. And then I remembered that I bonked myself because I was trying to figure out, right? I end this video, so I'm just rambling. I remember I bonked myself. The only thing is I couldn't remember where I bonked myself because I told my brain to forget it, right? As I was going through the process of that pain. Right? I couldn't afford to lose time with what I was doing. So the sooner that the pain subsided and left me, the sooner I could get back to doing what I was doing. And that's why I was telling my brain just to freaking forget about it. Right? And I did. I'm like touching my body. I'm like, okay, I know I bonked myself somewhere. Where the hell is it? And it hurt. So I should be able to touch it and I should be able to feel it, right? And nothing, I don't feel nothing except for my eye throbbing. And I'm like, did I bonk my eye? Because I've been getting kind of close to it, right? In terms of, you know, when I'm working. Okay? See, this is what I'm saying, people. I'm willing to go out in the yard and finish the freaking fucking job. Okay? Whether this house gets torn down in 2 months from now, or 1 year from now, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, because we don't know what's going to happen to the Canadian economy over the next year to 2 years. And this could be one reason why my landlady just wants to sell it and be done with it. Because she knows somewhere through the grapevine, through their wheelings and dealings on a grander level when it comes to the stock market and that kind of stuff, and money exchange, you know, between countries and blah, 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 legislation and God knows what, right? This is the time to sell. And take your money while you can before you lose it. Not that I would think that it would depreciate in British Columbia, Canada, because the money laundering schemes out here are too proficient. They're proficient people, okay? And a lot of people are ensnagged into it in terms of they're addicted to it. They like it because it makes them money. And that's what makes them ruthless and unpredictable and dangerous, right? Because they'll stop at nothing to get that money, okay? Whether that continues on over the next 1 to 2, 3, 4 years, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how they expect to fill up all these buildings with all these middle-class people and, you know, to be able to afford the mortgages and the rents and then make them buy nothing except what they can get from a grocery store, or if they're willing to go out to Langley and go buy something from the farms. Outside of that, that's it. That's all they get unless they order it from Amazon and places like that. They're not going to be able to grow anything in their yard outside of in a little flower box, okay? Like, you got to have a lot of money to live in these places, so it kind of makes you wonder where all this money is coming from. When the economy is crashing. So anyway, I couldn't figure it out. There's not a single spot on my body that hurts outside of there. So I bonked myself. So the point of this is because by the next day, it was like, I could really feel it, right? And it was all in here. Long story short, I took some aloe vera plant. I actually bought it at Walmart in their vegetable section. I have some growing. But anyway, I took it, and it was cold because I had it in the fridge. Cut off a piece, put it on my eye, okay? Because I bought it for the glaucoma, right, to see what it would do. I just hadn't used it yet. You see, that's the thing, until I bonked my eye. And by the second day, the pain was getting like really excruciating. And I'm asking Andre, is it red? Because if it's red, maybe it's pink eye, because I work with a lot of diapers and stuff like that. So, you know, it could happen, right? He goes, no, Nana, it's not red. You know, I'm like, well, do you see anything inside of there? Like a little piece of dirt or, you know, eyelash or something? He goes, no, Nana, no, Nana. But this thing was just getting out of control. I was getting kind of scared, and I even told Tisha, like, if it gets real bad, you're going to have to take me to the clinic because, you know, I mean, right now I can tolerate the pain, right? But it was getting worse and worse. Anyway, I went in the fridge. I got the aloe vera plant. I cut it. It was really, really cold. I put it on my eye, whatever. I ended up dousing my eye with it. Let the juice of it go actually into my eye. Okay, I am testament. I will do it again for you just to show you that I'm not lying. And I let the juice get into my eye. Okay, and I went like this, made sure, right, you know, hoping that maybe if there was something in there and it still kind of feels sort of, you know, maybe I'm going to do it again, right? Thinking that maybe it will help to wash out whatever was high up, maybe in here or something. I can't remember where I hit myself, but if I was to say where I did, I'm pretty sure it was on my eye because that was the only thing that hurt. There's no other spot on my body. And I mean, if I'm in that much pain where I have to breathe through it and tell myself to forget about it, and then I literally forget about it, you know it was a serious bump. And that's the thing, right? So if you ever find yourself in that situation and there's an aloe vera plant around, just go get it. Cut it open, take the juice. You can use it safely in your eye to help heal it. And within 2 days, it hardly hurts. There's still a little something in there, but I'm going to do it again. Okay? And I know this because when I was working with the black walnuts, I burned myself really, really bad in here. And I did it with the aloe vera. The thing about that on the eye, though, it can get itchy when it starts to dry, right? It can get itchy. So, you just take the corner of this where it's basically clean, because you don't really touch anything with it. And you just, right? And try not to go like this with it, right? And put it in every couple of hours, or how, it doesn't matter. You can do it for as long as you want, right? And let it do its magic. And it helped my eye out so much, man. Like, you can't imagine, because it was so sore. Because I bonked it, right? So, I'm trying to have a good attitude. I want to try and stay with that good attitude. I don't want to say I apologize for being such a downer, such a bummer, in terms of all this negativity, but at the same time, I'm not going to stay quiet on it either, people, because, this is life altering. And for these people that just want to get out, well, then they need to be part of the solution and just not solely the part of the problem. Right? In terms of, they can't rely on the government to solve the problem that they created, because of greed and a corrupt underground economy that sustains them. Right? I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to talk myself through this. Right? I'm kind of poking around in here, and I'm trying to avoid moping, because that's how that's how they get you, right? You get behind on things more and more and more and more and more and more. And I'm trying to get ahead of things. And moving out of this house is one of those things, but it's going to take a little longer than 4 months, 1 year, because it took me 12 years to get to this position. Okay, that's it.